Don't get it.
Good evening. Good evening. The Public Safety Park and Recreation Committee is open. In progress. First item on the agenda, October 11, 2023 minutes. Any questions on this?
None here, Chair.
No.
Next item on the agenda, Public Safety Report.
Fine.
Okay.
So, thank you, sir. Just ran up from another meeting, so my apologies for being late to our own party. Public Safety Committee, because election week kind of came a little delayed, so I will go through some of this. Just touching on some things. You see here, we had 975 calls, service, 65 arrests, 15 citations. One thing you saw that there was kind of a lengthy criminal investigation portion. So we have been doing, actually, our detective bureau has really kind of been rocking for like the last 2 or 3 months, making some very significant progress, some arrests, wins, and trials. Additionally, as you know, we've had the partnership with Michigan State Police. We also added partnership with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. They are assisting us with gun investigation, violent crime, but primarily weapons. Additionally, they also, a lot of people don't know this, they do fire investigation. So now we're kind of tapping into them to help us with fire investigations, because quite frankly, MSPs always has a no answer. So that's going well. So we did have, for the month of October, 1 homicide. I think that is going well. We got things that are still kind of under investigation, but it'll be, I think, ultimate charges and arrests down the line rather quickly. So again, in this partnership with the ATF doing very well. We still do work with the FBI Violent Crimes Task Force. So is that, just trying to pull out some points, because usually I just kind of try to read this. I think as we move forward, I guess, Commissioner, Chair, I guess kind of for the most part it. Any questions this far before I kind of move on? So you see, A, B, and C is kind of part of the public safety report. A couple of things I want to kind of let the committee know and citizens is, A on here is Harbor Towers. That has been going very, very well. We had our second meeting a couple weeks ago, and we've been having all parties involved have really, really had good communication. We're talking, we're meeting. At that meeting, we had places packed out. One thing I love is that the Harbor Towers residents care about their building. So we had people actually who were standing remotely. They were inside the community room as well as out in the hallway. So again, we had probably just shy of 40 people. So we're glad there. So we talked about some things that we're doing. We kind of even talked about establishing trust between them, Housing Commission, us, city. So they were very open. I do have commitments from some churches, pastors. Additionally, to go in with help with services. We're talking about, and of course, this is, as you've heard me say before, there's a human element. It's not just all about arresting people and taking them to jail. Maybe there might be something a need for, there is, as you know, literacy. We talked about having, they asked, could the Bible study be brought to Harbor Towers? Obviously, we can facilitate that. There's already one organization that's doing a Thanksgiving dinner. We talked about having maybe a movie night, game night. So Director Sheila Hill has been and her staff have been tremendous. From my perspective, I think also Fire Marshal Kaz will speak to the things that they're actually fixing in the building that we can actually see documented being done. We go back, check on it, those things are complete. So I'll let, if you want to say something that very quickly about, from your perspective, Harper Towers.
Yeah, nothing but good. Every issue that we've brought to them in the past 2 months has been addressed. I attended the first one of the meetings, also the chief talked about, I missed the second one. Residents are very positive. Like anything, I think there's a few people that cause problems for a lot of people.
Yes. So that's that report on that, sir.
Make sure that you get that report to all the commissioners,
What report?
what you just gave on Harper Towers, so that they can know about it.
Not actually a report.
In the,
Make sure you get it.
This will happen as long as I'm a taxpayer.
Go. Continue.
Okay. So the other thing that we have, we're starting to work on is, we always look at how to effectively, how can we be better and be prepared. If you recall last year, when we had power outage went down and at the very cold night of the year and Harper Towers went down, we had issues as far as warming, food. So as we were, as a team talking, it came to my mind that we prepare for summer enforcement. We have emergency plans that we have that are generally, we only think about kind of the summer, and things that we put in place. And we never really thought about doing a winter disaster plan in case a Harper Towers happens, or maybe it's for the terrorists. They have, has even more residents, more kids, families. So we have started the process of thinking about if something like that were to happen again, for us to be prepared. So we've been in conversations with Marion County Emergency Management, been in contact with the Ministerial Alliance, who a couple of those churches, if you recall, opened up themselves to be warming centers. I got commitment from a couple more churches for that. More conversations with the director of United Way, because they bring resources, food, shelter is going to be longer than something. So we're saying, as a public safety department, if something like that happened again in the winter, we want to be prepared for it to be able to activate it like right now. As you know, we believe in not so much always relying on somebody else. Yeah, they can supplement, but if that happens, we need to know, they need to know that Harper Public is activating the team now. So that's something that we're putting together planning. I just want to let you know about that the citizens know that we're considering that we need to be prepared for emergencies year round, not just with one. So that is on that. Any questions on that?
Yes,
Any from the board? That's complete on Harper Towers? That's a complete report on that, Harper Towers?
Yeah.
Yeah, statement more than a question. Thank you and your team very much for that, and those that have been working with you, and also Housing and Ms. Hill. But I appreciate that very much, knowing that is being done. And I'm quite sure those residents, every night they know something's being done, they sleep a little better. And I know that by hearing this from themselves. They tried to get me to come in the meeting. I said, no, they tried to drag. I said, no, I'm gonna stay out of it. It's going good, so I'm not an engineer. So, but thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
would that include, I don't know how to ask this question, but I'm glad that things are finally moving within Harper Towers. What do we need to do to get someone to go in and do a check on a resident? Because I was over there and I actually paid somebody to go upstairs on the 4th floor to take a phone to a young lady that the relatives had not heard from, just to do a wellness check. Do we call public safety
Yeah.
And just so you can answer them both out. Just recently, and I wouldn't know if I wasn't on this tank. God reveals a whole bunch of stuff to me since I have. And beyond Harbor Towers, but others that may be in their homes, when the lights go out, is there an emergency generator to Harbor Towers and the other tower down here at River Terrace? And I heard, our chief mention something about, when emergencies arrive. I wish that we could have had, the Armory an update, because once that starts, we really need to consider putting a generator on that, because if the power went out, or God forbid, if we were even bombed, where would we go for food, shelter in the wintertime that would hold a bunch of us? Do we know?
I actually only heard one question. The one, you can call the department, it's called a wellness check. So you call the department, say, could you go and check on, Tim Drews in 802? I haven't heard from him today. We'll go up there, we'll knock on there and make sure we see his face, or at least talk to somebody, know where he is. I can't speak to generators in other buildings. I don't know if you know that.
River Terrace just put in a generator with their new remodel. Harbor Towers does not have a generator.
So, this is good to know, because that's something that we need to look at with the funding, infrastructural funding that's coming through, because it could be life-saving, so. And nobody ever bothered to ask that question, or probably had to endure what some of the complaints that I've gotten. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Chief, have we, you're part of the county's emergency plan,
Where do we go?
and do they have those places identified in the emergency plan?
Yes. So, let's see, Captain Adams and I talked after this incident. So one of the things, so this technically didn't rise to the level of a disaster. That's why they didn't necessarily come and get involved, because although it was a disaster for the people involved, it didn't rise to the kind of the definition of the emergency management disaster. So what we're saying is, we got to be able to fill in that gap. We can't wait for the building to go up, we don't call it a disaster. So, yes, we are in conversation, Mr. Mitchell, but that's why they didn't come and get involved directly.
Chief, can I answer that as well? The other thing is, last year when this happened, all the identified spots for evacuation were also without power. That was the big issue.
So we need generators in a whole lot of places.
That, and I'm glad you said that, because that is the reason that I&M AEP is upgrading their system right now. And we're going to be bringing that upgrade to the commission as, when are we talking about? Next week, as a matter of fact, to the planning commission. So we've been working with them on that
Good deal,
during the summer.
good deal.
Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Chair. When we first started hearing about issues at Harbor Towers, mold was an issue, and I want to know, has that been addressed? Because mold is very toxic and very devastating to the human being, dogs and butterflies. So, have that been addressed? at all?
So I can speak to that. In our last meeting, especially, we had a meeting and a follow-up meeting with the staff and us. So actually, one of the residents had asked that very question. So I followed up and asked, is there any type of process, work and or documentation on remediation? Sheila said that they were, I can't remember exactly word for word, but there had been some look into the walls. She was gonna look to see what was done and what the documentation, what the report was. So they are aware of, there was moisture, obviously there's moisture leaks to mold in the wall. And they are aware of that and are supposed to get me back an answer specifically to that question.
Did she give you a time frame? Because like I said, mold is very dangerous. It's very dangerous, and sometimes your lungs don't repair itself. So this has been a long time. I can remember when Commissioner Edwards brought it to us. It's been a long time. And that seems to me that would have been one of the priorities for safety, health. So did she give you a time frame, sir?
Actually, no, and I didn't ask one either, so I didn't, I assumed she would, because we meet kind of regularly, so I didn't, answer your question, no, I didn't ask for a time frame. I do trust you to me, so I will follow up on that.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
So they're not gonna do a full remodel?
So, back to the disaster plan, I think it's definitely great to be proactive, and also not just dependent on, outside agencies or to come in. So to have a plan for ourselves too is definitely a step in the right direction. And also getting the communities, involved with, like the churches, they have some space, any other organizations, might even come down to people's homes, they may have relatives. Do you have a relative that stay in town that you can go to for, until we get this straight? So communications and just having a plan in place, I think, is definitely, instead of waiting until something happens. I appreciate the department for doing that. Any other questions on the? In the back, Mr. Duncan. Mr. Duncan.
Yeah. We spoke about the Bobo Brazil Center. I was wondering, what is the real plan for it? Are we gonna set it up for the citizens as a place to go in case of the emergency? Are we gonna put the machine you guys were discussing earlier? Are we gonna have that in there as well? And if so, when is it gonna happen? It's been a long time.
Can you speak to any updates on the,
Given
The Bobo
updates right
Brazil
now.
Center is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
there is some plans in the makings.
Who's gonna answer?
There are plans in the making, but I can't give them any updates right now.
Are they in the immediate future or in the far away future?
In the future.
Okay, thank you.
All right. More discussions on that. Next item, discussion of Colfax reconstruction.
He has another.
Oh, he had another one.
Fire
Oh, okay, come on.
fire engine.
All right, come
All
on.
right, so thank you, Commissioner Chair. So, again, as we sit around and kind of armchair quarterback and try to figure out how we can do things better, we believe if you get complacent, then that's where the problems come in. So we've been really discussing, especially like the last couple of months, kind of fire safety in the city. It'd be easy for us to kind of rest on our laurels, having, I can't even say arguably, the best fire department in Marion County and the things that we've done, the things that we've achieved. I think even with a response, we've had auto aid on one of our structure fires. We're gonna probably have anywhere from 12 to 20 firefighters at any fire scene at any given time. So that's all positive. Obviously, our water situation is very beneficially better for us as far as firefighting. We have a very quick response, we have a very quick knockdowns. And of course, with looking at those positives, it would be easy to just kind of, hey, that's great, but where can we improve? So one of the things that we look at is although we have all these really good things going on with the fire department, there are still fires that we've had that are generally linked to kind of common denominator. And even looking at, some of our fatal fires is a common denominator that kind of goes through those, which is structural. So, and I'll defer a little bit to Fire Marshal Academy, like to talk about kind of statistically the things that we see predominantly, a lot of times, bad wiring. We have really a lot of that in town, so let us speak to it.
Yeah, without a doubt, electrical is probably our number one cause of structural fires in the city of Benton Harbor. A lot of these are, it's very hard to find because they're behind the walls, you can't see them. Some of it comes down to education as far as use of space heaters. So we're definitely looking at ways we can expound our fire prevention program. We're number one in smoke detectors now for almost 4 years running. We've given out over 4,000 smoke detectors, but we still have a large fire problem in the city. So smoke detectors aren't the only option that's out there. So education is going to be a big piece of this, and exactly what that education is going to be, we don't know yet. We actually have engaged some experts. The state fire marshal will be here next week, and the U.S. fire administrator, who's basically the chief of all fire departments in the country, has been engaged and has some of her people working on it as well. So there's a lot of people in a lot of high places working for us on this and trying to help us develop a plan. So I guess the best way to say it is more to come.
So I like to say this, I might get in trouble. So we're in schools. We're in schools all throughout the year. I think we touch every school in Benton Harbor and then some. So we go into school and we give, little Shenanigans and Tommy the fire hat, some safety books, teach them how to drop, flop, I'm saying it wrong, but you know what I'm saying. Roll. And they get that, and they're in the 3rd grade, the 4th grade, the 5th grade. Here's our gap. That doesn't change when they go home. Mom and dad may have paid Boosie to do wiring in the walls because it's a little cheaper, who may not be a certified electrician that takes modern day wire, attached to what we call knob tube, that can't take the load. So what we teach in the classes, and we're thinking out loud, we can't be better unless we talk about the issues. We can teach them to stop, drop, and roll in school. When they go home and it's not safe in the home for that reason, we're highly rentals. We need to start having a conversation of holding the actual homeowner responsible for rentals for sure. And then how do we start the conversation of thought process of for the homeowners who might still can't afford
There you go.
that particular electrician, because in Barron County electricians are high, I'm telling you, for that reason. But we can get them to be able to do some upgrades in their home somehow. I don't know, man. That's maybe Mr. Little question that it will help supplement that, but also more importantly, what we're concerned about, that it not be punitive. So if somebody says, "Hey, public safety, come by, look at my house, do an inspection," we go by there and see X, Y, and Z. So now now that we know we have a certain amount of liability, but how do we encourage them to get their home fixed the right way or get some certain things in there that help them with their safety without dragging people through fines and costs and whatnot, and open up wall. It's just, that's what we're trying to figure out. How do we do that so we have a complete fire safety and education piece really for the adults too? One of the things that had come out, again, I'll probably be without the room is, we got a lot of people who own homes, multiple homes in the city, catch on fire, they're not insured, they walk away from them. Can we have something, the discussion to have at least minimal liability insurance on fire, so you don't see Lebanon Union, 1297 Superior, 420 Summit, on and on and on, because that brings road, that's a safety and health issue, et cetera, et cetera. So we're kind of thinking out loud, but that's where we are. How can we be better protecting our citizens, helping our citizens protect themselves, probably a better way to say it.
Just to add one thing, we do have one new program going currently, and it kind of backs off our smoke detector program. Clement Plumbing, who is out installing the lead pipe replacements, they're getting in a bunch of houses, over 2,500, I think. They're installing smoke detectors in every house that they go into for us as well. So we're supplying the detectors, and they're doing the labor for us.
Notice you talked about the wiring. A lot of houses are older houses too. And how would they know that they have bad electric? Is it somewhere you can come in and inspect and say, okay, something ain't right, you know?
We can, but then we had a very lengthy discussion with the manager. At what point are we advisory versus, we gotta do something? Now you get somebody maybe is hand them out, budget wise. Now they get an assistant to have to fix so it's a double-edged sword. So we say, well, do this, but then if they think you're gonna come in and ultimately penalize me or put me on whatever, I ain't gonna call you.
Right. But if they know, and then they can be aware and then start trying to seek some type of help or something to get the problem remedied. I would hate for somebody to get
Also,
burned up. Yeah.
have to remember that the landlords, there are landlords that we really need to work with also.
Only.
And an idea too that, I know we were talking to people out there several years about, the trades program and stuff, apprenticeship programs, and we begin to get big on that. Maybe opportunities for folks who are learning to trade, to be some type of come in with a certified person to, that'd be part of the training, so that would kind of cut some costs to somebody who probably couldn't afford it.
So 24 years and 5 months ago, when I got here, we had that. There was a group, I can't remember who that is, there was a whole group that went into the home under the tutelage of the instructor or the master, whatever, maybe Mr. Jackson was there. You remember that they went in there and they fixed the homes.
Yeah.
And there was a whole crew of students, and it was actually certified work.
Tim Johnson.
Mayor,
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
thank you. I recently had a conversation with, I won't mention any names, but we're working on it, and I just heard our captain our fire marshal just made mention of, someone that has the contract to do the plumbing in 2,500.
I don't think they actually have the contract to do 2,500. They'll be in 2,500 houses checking the plumbing.
Okay. That's what we were talking about, and the conversation came up, because I'm like, we're dealing with old homes that used to belong to somebody else. And we already know the standard toothness throughout Ben Harbor with all the empty lots, but these are older homes. And just like you said, I might get Jack, the cousin, to fix something electrical, and it causes a fire. But we're working on that, and I think that this is, somebody needs to get to the table. And we are discussing it on another level, but while someone is doing the plumbing, to get somebody in there to check the electrical as well. Because a lot of these homes are older homes, period. And that would be one way of, I guess, addressing the problem, if we could get with the state, with the lead program that's going on while they're inspecting the plumbing, that it could be somebody that they're paying to do an electrical check as well. I mean, If we're talking about safety and trying to create a safe space for the landlords or whomever,
Mr. Chair,
that can't afford it.
to the commissioner's comment, there is a company in town called Lighthouse Electrical. They are doing the exact thing as the plumbing. So what they're doing in these houses is they're doing electrical work far as water heaters. So if they go in, they're doing bonding and some other stuff. So if they come across something that's a safety hazard, they're gonna address that. That is all done through the state right
Okay.
now.
You know what, you're absolutely right, but they didn't check, the outlets and stuff.
Nope, they're not
Some
done.
may-
They're not.
some- I know, but that's what I'm saying, because somebody may have a child that
So-
can easily access, but I know what you're saying, and that's a good thing.
So right now, I just got something came in my office. There is a house of hazard right now
Okay,
that is gonna be taken care of on Monday.
okay.
And the electrical inspector is going right behind them once they finish. So that's one of many. But they're doing over 4,000 some houses here in the municipality.
Well, that's good. If we could possibly set some block grant dollars aside in the future to actually do some of that, if somebody is having some electrical problems and needs some help, just like they need home repairs, that could be one of them.
Commissioner,
Just had a question about fire hydrants that has come up before. Some of them are wrapped with the orange thing saying that they're out of order. Just want to know how many of those there are, and then what's like if there's one next to it that replaces that one, or will those be replaced?
she can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Those are the ones that need.
Yeah.
That's good enough.
So my question is around the hydrants. There are a few that are wrapped with the thing that are out of order that are being replaced. Just wanted to know like if there's one next to it, because some of them there's like a fire hydrant, then there's one that's wrapped that's not in order. Are those being replaced? Are they being repaired? Does the one next to it, is that able to address any fire needs in those particular areas?
Yeah, I think right now we're less than 25. Jason and I talk on a monthly basis. We have a monthly conference call on fire hydrants. All the input for fire hydrant replacement comes directly from me to Evan Marsh. It's been a fantastic relationship. And there, as far as I know, there's only a couple places where there's two next to each other out of service. We have a plan for that in case we do have a fire. I feel more comfortable than ever with our fire hydrant situation right now. And we just, Jason and I talked before the meeting, he's letting 2 projects out for bid. Is it tomorrow, Jason, or today? Today went out for bid for more replacements. So he just did the Division Columbus. There's a whole bunch of them there that got replaced. There was 8 additional from FDCVT money that got replaced, and then with the others. So we're, almost monthly, there's new hydrants going in. So we're doing really good.
Thank you.
Mr. Jackson.
Yes, piggybacking on what the director said, we had a program, youth building first came in 1998. It was a group of us that were certified in different trades. Me, myself, carpenter by trade. And we also work with Habitat Humanity with Mike Green. We were building houses and we were building the foundation for all those Habitat houses. I was called in by Mike Green and through 53rd Bank to help with this project. And we had young people ages 16 to 24, and in some cases older, because they were making homeowners as well. What happened is, during my time working with this Habitat Humanity, and believe this, I mean, they fed pizza and everything. We couldn't get one person from Benton Harbor in this city to come out and learn something from journeyman. But when it was time to feed them, we had all kinds of people. But however, also with the youth bill, the kids couldn't too much read or even do basic mathematics. So they had to go down here to what you call it, Michigan Works, to try to get some type of training. We had a guy from the training command out of Lansing, which the apprenticeship I went through. He came down to try to teach them. And the kids just wouldn't do nothing. They was out of control. When I came in to help them out, the reason why they had me to come in, because the guy, was a white guy, he said that he wasn't comfortable because they were treating him like dogs. But when I came in, we had guys who were telling me that I should sit down and listen, maybe I can learn a trade. Little they know I was the guy. So I asked a lot of our folks, can you read or write? And I showed it to them, showed them my certification. They couldn't even read that. So Youth Bill, it kind of went south. And then Habitat, it kind of went south. So they tried it again 2 or 3 times. Matter of fact, they tried it again down here. They can't get that many students. They give them a plain GED test, some little thing from 8th grade. They couldn't even do that. So then they started getting upset when other people in different communities was joining in from Lakeshore, St. Joe. They know how to read and write. So who you blaming? Who can you blame? So I'm just saying, as a whole, it is hard to get our own people to do things. You know, they gonna sell you some dope and them kind of things.
Point of
Where they
order,
get it from?
point of order, man.
Well, I'm just putting a point of what they can do.
This time, how many minutes you get?
But however, Director, you know the whole deal. You try.
Yeah,
and-
no problem.
You can keep on trying, and maybe if you get 100 and get 1, hey, that's progress if you get 1. But anyway, that's the way it is, and it's not hard to get in these programs. You just got to be able to pass a drug test, have a GED or high school diploma, and apply yourself. Be motivated and determined. That's all.
I thank you.
Hey,
I'm gonna say we're Benton Harbor, we're gonna do it.
go ahead. What's it?
I said, we're Benton Harbor, so we're gonna do it.
Oh, yeah.
There you go, I like
Now
that.
go
sound.
What was that?
We are Benton Harbor.
And we're gonna do it, I heard that part.
I'm so glad nobody gave up on me.
Can
Or
I
myself.
have
Okay.
One thing, while I got 2 of the construction board of appeal appointees here, can we get together with the clerk, get a meeting? We got 2 of the 3 with us right now, so we've been trying to get that together.
For training?
Try or going to.
The board of appeal, construction board of appeal.
Yeah, before they leave, can we nail them down on maybe a time when we get together, or they get together? Sir, that's it for public safety, we first, sir.
All right.
Are we gonna try to do this or are we gonna do this? There is a difference.
Do what?
What they just spoke of,
Oh, training?
He gonna do
you
it.
know,
He gonna do it.
I think the last word said that we gonna do it.
he said we're gonna try.
We gonna do it.
That's what I want to hear. Thank you.
Is that,
Okay. At one time, we passed a resolution that we could, if our inspection department got involved with a resident, that we could help them out with the repairs, whatever that infraction is. I don't know where that went, but I do remember it, and I thought it was a good thing. Then when I look at what he was talking about, the plumbers coming in and at the same time that the electricians come in to make sure that the hot water heater that they're giving the resident will be able to sustain the electricity. After that, Jay, our inspector, comes in. My question to staff is, if Jay comes in, who is the electrician inspector, how far is his inspection? Does he just look at the work that the workers did, or do he look at more into the whole household electric?
So Jay will look at the electrical, but the oncoming building inspector looks at the whole thing. So the person, Will Bennett, looks at the whole project.
So, but he doesn't come after Jay comes in and inspect what electrical work was done.
That's just part of it. So Jay's just a little part of that.
Right.
Also, there's plumbing inspectors and there's mechanical inspectors, which we're trying to get that back in-house in R2. We got people lined up for that. But the building inspector looks at the whole project, and the electrical's a part, the plumbing's a part, the mechanical's a part.
So the question is, does Jay check only the new repairs for on electrical work, or does he check all electrical work when he comes in?
Just whatever that's permitted.
Whatever that, okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And do we not have a program that if inspection finds an infraction, that we can get help from whoever or whatever?
Whoever.
You know, we did do a resolution, and I can't say, well, I'll ask through the chair if, Madam Clerk would do that research that, where we did do that, and then maybe we need to follow through on it when we find it. Thank you.
When was that done? Commissioner,
Commissioner Henry, you got any?
when was that done?
It was probably 4 years ago, maybe 5.
Do you know maybe the, like,
What
the
was it?
title of the resolution, or kind of make it easier for the look up if you, do you know what?
It allowed inspection to make the infraction, and it allowed us to help the residents fix it.
Oh, that sounds familiar. That's really so.
But
So,
We'll do it.
see if she can find it.
She's great.
All right, one more question on this before we move on.
It's, I think I mentioned this at our last meeting. Because I came back to Benton Harbor when Michigan Works was over there at Paw Paw, and there was a training going on. And I got involved down here, that was 98. I came down here in 2002, I got involved. 2004, I've been trying to get training in here ever since. So, and been big in ECT, I think was Mark Florian, he was what company, environmentalist, as well as Avon Marsh. How many of our people in the residence work for you that you're training? So see, the answer was always none. Along the way, though, there has been one I know for sure, and his name was Alden. And he branched out and wanted to try and open his own business and willing to help train some other young people within the community. So I just have a problem when I hear that our people, you can keep your foot on somebody's neck for so long to where they lose hope and they stop breathing. But how dare us give up? And I'm hoping and praying that what I just heard come from our public safety director and chief and everyone, that we will work closely with the school. And we can't wait until they get ready to graduate. We have to go back in elementary. Go back to the 6th, 7th, 8th graders. It ain't gonna hurt you to hit your finger with hit your thumb with a hammer. It'll heal.
It hurt if you give up on it.
But seriously, if we could take the knowledge that's in this room, we can help our people with the training that they need. And if we had to pass something for Manchester Bidwell Arts and Training Technology Center, we'd have some that has more hope and trained.
I think everybody comments on those issues and there'll be further discussion. Next item on the agenda, discuss the Colfax reconstruction.
Tiffany, can you hook me up? Just that one? Yeah. Okay. There you go. Oh, voila. I'm gonna blow this up a little bit. Let's see here.
I don't know.
When we get to the options, we'll do something with lighting. So, all right. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm Tim Drews with Avid Mars. This is Jason Marquardt. So we're starting the design work on the Colfax Avenue project. This project is slated from Main Street, which is Business Loop 94, to Market Street. And it includes, on the screen here, I've got a few items. Basically, the general project is total pavement reconstruction, sanitary sewer replacement, storm sewer replacement, water main replacement, and of course sidewalks. So that's the general project that we're intending to do. So it's a complete redo of Colfax Avenue within the stretch. The funding for this project, we were able to, it's basically the preliminary construction estimate is about $2.4 million. We were able to secure surface transportation block grant money. That's money through Twin Cats, which is the local metropolitan planning organization, of $1.16 million. There's the state water funding that is designated for about $850,000, and then sanitary sewer is about $360,000 through the CWSRF project or program. Those funds basically are going to almost fully pay for this project. So you're going to get a good project and it's fully, really, pretty much fully funded. Our timeline for this project is, now this state transportation or surface transportation block grant money is federal money. It has to be administered through MDOT. So we have to go through their lengthy process to get this done. But our plan is to submit our preliminary plans to them in January, our final plans to them in March, have an MDOT bid letting in June. And then it takes a little while for the project to be awarded through MDOT. But basically our thoughts are it's probably going to start somewhere time in August of 24. That coincides pretty well with the corner of wall project that's being proposed on this stretch. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes too. So what I mainly want to talk about tonight is what do you want to see on Colfax Avenue when it's said and done? This is our time in 50 years to rebuild this road and put back what the city wants to see. We have our opinions, we have our options, and what I've done is we've drawn up 3 options here to show what it could look like. These are nowhere set in stone. They're just basically the first go at what we think the options can be, and we want input. We're basically looking for a discussion here of what do you want to see and how can we make this a nice project for the city. So the 3 options that we're going to talk about are a 2-lane roadway with on-street bike lanes and on-street parking, and obviously sidewalks. The second option would be a 2-lane roadway with on-street parking with no bike lanes. And then the third would be a revision of option 1 would be on-street parking, on-street bike lanes, but we would put bump outs, basically curb bump outs to allow for better pedestrian crossing. And we'll show you the graphics here. I'll start that now, I guess.
Thank you.
So what's on the screen is pretty small, and I'm going to blow it up. But I'll just say down here on the far left of the screen, that's Market Street. And we start moving to the north. We get to Oak Street at the top of the screen here. We continue to march north. We get to Wall Street. And then the final destination or final part of the project that ends at Main Street. So let me see if I can make this work here. If I can blow it up. So this is the concept that basically would have 2 lanes of traffic, 1 lane in each direction. It would have on-street bike lanes that would allow for the bicycle traffic. And this would allow for on-street parallel parking on both sides of the street. There are some parameters here for the on-street parking that we have to abide by the Michigan Vehicle Code. One being we need to be 20 feet from a crosswalk. We need to be 15 feet from an intersection. We cannot park within an intersection. Can't park in front of hydrants. So we've done our best preliminarily to identify where crosswalks are, intersections are, driveways are, and are trying to basically fit the most parking we can, but still make it safe and still make it, applicable to the Michigan Vehicle Code. So in this option, and I'll walk down the street here with you in a minute, we basically we've shown 44 potential on-street parking spaces along this corridor. Currently, right now, that thing is a wide sea of pavement. Nothing's designated. It's just there. So I think this is going to better define what this corridor could look like with a little bit, a lot better definition of where people park. The biggest question, and we'll go through this in a minute, but the biggest question is, do you like the on-street bike lanes? I personally think there are bike lanes south of here. There are share markings, which are share the road markings on Colfax south of here. It makes it a contiguous corridor. I think we have opportunity to do bike markings on 8th Street where the one-way pair happens. So my personal opinion, I don't want to sway the whole committee and the whole commission, but my personal opinion is the complete streets package, that is a buzzword that's been happening for the last 10 years, is make them bicycle friendly, make them pedestrian friendly, and make them so that vehicles can use them, make it a complete street. So this concept would accomplish that goal. So as I said, basically we're just going to walk down the street here a little bit. We've got 11-foot travel lanes. We have 5 feet for our bicycle lanes. We have 9 feet to the back of curb for our on-street parking. And this would provide 7 feet of sidewalk. So that's a decent, the normal sidewalk is 5 feet. These sidewalks have to be really close to the back of curb. So we want a little bit extra room for snow plow and for clearing of the snow when that happens. The only thing that I don't like about this is in this stretch from Oak to Market, we've only got 66 feet of right of way. So we don't have any green space in this scenario. The 7-foot sidewalks could be narrowed up to 5 feet. We could get 2 feet of green space. That becomes a weed mess and hard to maintain. So that's something to weigh as well, I guess, as far as how, if you want any green space in this block, let's call it. So that's the stretch in between Market and Oak. I'll go down to the bottom of the screen here for the other to continue. So as we get from Oak to Main Street, the right-of-way goes from 66 feet to 80 feet. We've got more room. So you can get green space in here with the same parameters, other than now you've got some green space there that you could put street trees in if you want, those type of things, some landscaping. I would suggest that massive landscaping might not be the right idea. You have to maintain it, and it gets irrigation and a lot of stuff, but maybe street trees would be nice along this corridor. In this block is basically from Oak to Wall. We've kind of just shown the preliminary site plan from the corner at Wall project, this yellow area here. So it didn't fit really well. We didn't have the CAD file for that, but we tried to show it in here. So that's the grocery, medical, supportive services. It's the latest plan that we had, but we wanted to show you that is in this corridor and on this project, and we'll have to be incorporated into the design of how we make that work and how we work with them to make this the best project that they can have and the city can have. So if I can make this thing's finicky. As I continue to go, basically, then we get down to Main Street. We open up the right turn lane down here that currently exists down here at Main Street. I think that's a good idea to maintain. If you pull up this intersection now, there's a long wait if you have to wait behind somebody. So pulling up here and be able to make a right-hand turn on red, I think that's good to maintain that. So that's option one. We can either stop for questions now, or I can go to option 2 and 3. I guess everybody want to keep going, or?
Where the apartments at?
One question. Let you go back.
Yeah.
The apartment you just.
So that's the corner at Walls project?
That was it. Yellow.
Hang on here. I got to maneuver. This is. Yeah. So that was. Come on.
think you're down at the bottom.
I'm down at the bottom.
There you go.
So basically, it's in this, we didn't show the entire project. All I showed was the frontage there. I think it's along Wall Street.
Yeah.
So this right here is Wall Street. And this back here is Oak Street. So it's the entire block is where that development is.
So that was taken into consideration? with
Definitely.
Green spaces and stuff, okay?
Definitely, we know we have to work with them. One thing,
Who
one,
would be responsible for the other portions of the green space along Colfax?
so the green space that would be along here would be the city's responsibility if you wanted that green space.
We need to create jobs.
Yeah,
businesses.
speaking of the city, would we be able to have parking meters on that street? I'm asking the chair to consider us having parking meters in that area.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Mr. Gunn.
there's an entire parking plan being developed. That will be coming to the commission. We're looking at about,
I would think probably 6-8 weeks we should be.
6 to 8 weeks.
A parking lot for everyone.
Now, we're talking about a full parking plan for the city.
Okay,
That may include meters. Yeah.
Well,
it will include meters?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
When I say meters, I don't know if it will be meters at every spot or kiosks.
Yeah, that's good, as long as the city can make some money.
Yes.
So the board, do you want to see the other plans before we really get into discussion, the other two?
I have some questions.
I'd rather see, right.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
All right. So we'll move to the second plan. Now this one is very simple. Whoa, come on. It's very similar to the first one, but in this case, we do not show on-street bike lanes. So it's just the 2 lanes and the on-street parking. That does open up some green space in that first block that didn't have any green space before. But it does not accomplish that complete streets goal if that's what the city wants to see. So we would have obviously the travel lanes, we would have on-street parking lanes, and then I'd like to maintain these 7-foot sidewalks just because I think this is going to be a pedestrian draw. This is going to be where pedestrians want to be. It's near downtown. I think the wider sidewalks are going to help that situation. Those could be narrowed to 5. I'm not completely set, but that's the way we've shown it right now. All right, so it's very, very similar, this way, basically. Let me get down to the bottom. Once again, that development between Oak and the corner wall project, more green. There's obviously going to be even more green down here now that we've taken out the 5-foot bike lanes on each side. So it does, the advantage of this one, it provides more green, but it does not provide those bicycle facilities on the roadway. And then the last one is just a version of option 1 with the bike lanes, but this one provides these, what we call curb bump outs. These shorten pedestrian crossing spaces, basically, let me find, probably the next intersection is a good example. You see how they bump out here, and this is a shorter crossing space. These are done a lot. There's a couple disadvantages to those. One of them being snowplows. They have to weave in and out in order to plow the parking lanes.
They're like the bump out up on Colfax.
We're gonna fix that one.
Oh,
But yeah, so if you go to St. John Lake Boulevard, right along the bluff, there's bump outs there. If you want to see what they look like. What's that? Oh, yeah, Langley, we actually had some pocket parking there too, exactly. So those are like I said, the biggest advantage is to help with pedestrian crossings. The other disadvantage that I've got to warn you about is MDOT has a rule that they will not pay for parking lanes that are not continuous and cannot be turned into travel lanes at the future without major reconstruction. So these bump outs, you couldn't make this a travel lane and because you'd run into that bump out. So that could be, I'm not promising this, but we've run across this that could be ineligible cost for the city in the future, and actually as part of this project. The city might have to foot the whole bill for the pavement in that parking area. That's the biggest disadvantage that I see. It's a different look again. So if I go down to the bottom screen, let's just take that quick peek here. You know, it gives more green space again. It gives the shorter crossing distances. So it just gives you a different look. So those are the options. I want to just really quickly, this is part of my agenda, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. One thing we want to talk about also tonight is streetlights. This is a screenshot of.
Before you leave the streets.
Yep.
If you had to make a recommendation today to the commission.
I would go personally with option one.
That's exactly what I am.
The complete streets, I would recommend that from an economic development standpoint
That's
also,
correct.
That's with everything.
with everything.
That's with everything.
Parking,
But
sidewalk,
no bump
bicycle
outs.
paths,
Would not have the bump outs. Yeah.
without bump outs.
I think that would go along with, the way our community, I see the use, because we have high pedestrian traffic in our city.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of bicycling also, so I think the complete, street would definitely be my choice.
Glad to hear that.
And this, it seemed with what was raised at last Wednesday night's meeting about the bicycle paths connecting and so forth. And at that time I was saying, the plan for the future is to put bicycle paths along the streets as well as like Ox Creek and other. But, and that's all a part of the master plan that we were voting to endorse.
What we're talking about is the connectivity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So from there to where?
Yeah. Right.
Complete connectivity, right?
Any more comments? Look like,
I did. What is the purposes of bump outs besides it being cute?
Just it shortens the crossing distance for a pedestrian. You know, they don't have to basically step out into the street. They have that shorter distance there.
Yeah, because I agree.
It's scary about it.
It is, and I think we need our snow plows and different things to work. I don't know how they will work with them maneuvering around it, and then some people are still gonna try to make their right turn.
Oh yeah.
And-
Some communities love the bump outs. That's why we wanted to
Because
just throw it out there.
It's cute. I mean, it really is, but
Right.
I don't hear.
Ms. Henry,
At the corner of Main and Colfax, with the bike trail, you make a right-hand turn. That,
You're going to tell me that doesn't look safe. That's the national standard of how these things. If you go to, I was driving back into town. I was out of town today, but driving on the business loop as you come to Pawpaw Avenue, that exact thing is at that intersection. That bike lane is between the through lane and the right turn lane.
so, through the chair, ask the chief, how does that bike turn right? Make a right-hand turn
They turn from that spot.
from that spot.
Right out there. They can make the left or they can make the right from that spot.
And how far down does that trail go? Is it stopped right there?
No, this is based. I just showed these dash lines through here. It continues all the way to Market Street and in this project. It would be on both sides of the road, all the way to Market Street.
But does it connect to any other bike trail? Does it start at a bike trail and end at
So,
another bike trail?
If you start at the south city limits on Colfax and you start heading north, there are bike lanes on both sides. We get near the high school and we ran out of real estate, so there are these markings on the pavement that are called Share-O markings, and basically it's a share the road type marking. As you get into the one-way section, the bike lane continues. The gap in this whole process is there isn't anything shown on A Street right now. That could be easily done with a paint line and basically designate 5 feet on one side, the right side of the road, where it connects up to Colfax, and then you would have connectivity from Main Street all the way to the south side of limits on Colfax.
That is what I'm looking forward to. So, is that in your privy of?
So we can't do it as part of this project, but I'll tell you what we can do. The next time the road department does the pavement marking for the city, once a year, they freshen up the lines. We will designate A Street as that connectivity point, and we'll have that white line painted next summer before this project is even done.
Wonderful, right? Thank you.
That's before the summer starts.
Usually they're here in July. It comes down to when the paint crews come into town.
Okay, you need anything else?
All right, so let me just talk about, street lighting. This is not in the budget to replace streetlights, but this is a picture of one of the streetlights that's out there. Obviously, it's getting a little dated, a little old, a little weathered, some of these streetlights and a lot of them are gonna be in the way. So the question is, do we go with a standard AEP Cobra head? Do you want something decorative? Something in between? I don't know what the in between would be. So I just wanna, once again, it's a look of the corridor. If you went decorative, my gut feeling is it's about $150,000 ad to get street lighting that's decorative along this corridor. So is it worth $150,000, rough estimate, or should we go with standard street light? I guess I just want a little bit of input, or we don't have to make this decision. Does not have to be made tonight or anytime in the near future. But
So if we went decorative, the maintenance costs would be on us.
just like the ones on the business loop,
Yeah.
that's the downside, honestly.
If we went standard,
Then AEP takes care of them. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question here. On this design, is this standard?
That's what's out there today.
Right.
So and honestly, it's ugly. There are a lot of them missing. They're sporadic down the street. So I don't think we definitely don't want to go back with this. I'll just say that.
Do AEP have any update?
We'll have to talk to them about what options they have, because I think they might have some options that can be a little bit, maybe they're black poles instead of just the wood pole kind of things, or we can check into that.
We looked into the LED or something.
Definitely
Low
LEDs.
energy
Oh, that everything is LED. Yeah, exactly.
Question on the lighting, and I mentioned this before to Jason. And thinking about that in the parks. On that empty lot solar farm, just for street lighting. I know there's a lot of grants for cities to get involved with solar lighting.
Right.
Would that do it at a low cost, low maintenance as
Yeah.
well?
So I'll tell you, St. Joe Township looked at there was an article in the paper a few months ago. They were looking at a solar field out near their township hall, and the costs were just exorbitant to get started, and they scrapped it because it was just too much of an upfront investment, and the payback was going to be so long. We can check into it, but I'm kind of confident that it's not going to be worth the money to get it done.
Probably got some maintenance things to do actually with the panels and
Right.
other things as well. But something that don't throw away right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess since we're on that, so I won't bring it up again when we get to the presentation on the parks. Would it be feasible for parks though?
They have those individual lights that kind of have a solar panel on them. So like individually, those work really well.
Now, are those the ones they run the wire through one or whatever that is, they run under the ground and it's still solar, or is that where each panel is connected to that one?
Well, the one I was just talking about was like an individual one with you'll see you'll see a solar panel on it just operating that facility itself.
For that one?
Yeah, but there's probably are ones that you can bank off of a certain panel that you might be able to, daisy chain and run a little bit more off of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Duncan, I think you had a question.
Well, you guys were talking about the lights downtown, and I guess we were trying to make them look cute or something. But the most important thing is the brightness. If you got the proper lighting, you could have just a regular street light, not like those we were looking at a few seconds ago.
Right.
That's ridiculous. But, yeah, brighter lights. I don't know if they're fluorescent or what you call them, but as long as they're bright enough to be able to see.
We really need to look at brightening the whole town.
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah,
agreed.
That was my next thing, but I appreciate that.
So I think, with this project, it'll be discussing with AEP on what. they-
Definitely.
So have some options and so.
The only last thing I have is, I mentioned landscaping. Everybody okay with a few street trees? Anybody want anything? Do you want just grass? Would you rather have something else, I guess, or what are your thoughts on for the green spaces?
I'm kind of looking at the future of that area. Looking at I guess you could call it the east side or the west side of downtown. You're looking at the future of that area.
Yeah,
So I'm trying to imagine what would the entry be from the west side? What would we want to look like entering into the west side, Ben Harbor, and continuing on through it? So do we want that end to kind of be like the introduction into the rest of it where we'll continue through?
definitely have the opportunity there. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think we want like grass, concrete, but
right.
itself on identity into that town.
Sure.
The proper kind of trees do help all the way around in terms of reducing heat in the summer, oxygenating the air, better overall.
Yeah, you're just not going to get a 18-inch trunk. You're going to get a 2 or 3 inch.
Yeah.
It's going to take a little while for them to grow. That's just the expectation that needs to be set.
Well,
My great grandkids.
yeah, geese, and the more grass you have, the more geese, the more ducks, the more food.
Yeah.
So
Trees are better than grass.
trees is better than grass.
The other thing to consider too is, trying to maximize your green space. Those are empty parcels, and people are gonna possibly, get those and develop those. So, there's gonna be a little bit probably disruption of where a new concrete driveway goes. Instead of, paving everything all at once, they have a little bit more options, and they can, more likely gonna, upgrade the frontage of the road, as something new comes in. Even on the corner of the wall, develop on the back side of that where that building is. It'd be interesting to see what they plan on doing.
So down the road, when we do the number one, you probably have a example of how it would look with the trees.
Yeah, yep. That's the last thing I had. And we are gonna take this and present it to the planning commission on Tuesday as well, just to get as much, public input as we can on this thing. So just, that's a heads up that that's gonna happen Tuesday.
Thank you much.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is the update park and recreation plan. Update.
Good evening, Marcy.
Marcy.
Joel.
Joel, yeah, hi, yeah, sorry. Yeah, with Avon Marsh, yeah.
Marcy is.
She's with the planning commission, yeah. Yeah. She's awesome though.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm here today is, we've been working on the 5-year Parks and Rec plan renewal for the city of Benton Harbor. And we're at a point now where we've spent the last about 5 months, Benton Harbor Team Solutions has been leading the charge on this, getting public input on what the community likes about the park, what they'd like to see. in the parks and future plans. And the point of getting all that input is to just identify some goals and actions to take in the next 5 years and try and find funding to support that and the improvements that people want in the city, which also helps create a plan that's eligible for the DNR funding for recreation projects. So what I have in, excuse me, in this packet are the survey results. So the individual responses that were received from an online survey and several outreach efforts that Benton Harbor Team Solutions did. And based on that, we met with the city and kind of like highlighted the goals based on these results. And that's in the packet, the goals and the actions that are identified. And what will happen next is these goals will go into the draft plan. The draft plan will be assembled and put out for public review and comment for 30 days. And then after that period, it'll incorporate any changes or thoughts from the community that's been received for the 30-day period. And then the plan will be finalized and accepted by commission, hopefully in time of February 1st for when it needs to be submitted to the DNR to be eligible for grant funding that year for projects. Anyway, so I just kind of wanted to have Princella share the outreach she did and the way she contacted people, just so everybody's aware of, how she got out into the community. And then I just ask for any feedback on the goals, if anybody has anything they'd like to add or suggest for the goals of the plan. So go ahead.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you, Joelle, too, in the city of Benton Harbor. Most of you may have heard already about the park program. Our way of actually connecting with the community, we came up with this campaign called I Love Benton Harbor. I'll make it short if it can be played.
Yes, we love the city of Benton Harbor, Michigan, and we want to hear from you regarding the city's parks. So residents, current and former, and people who love Benton Harbor, please take the time to fill out the City of Benton Harbor's Park Survey. Simply click the link below, answer a few questions, and share your vision. Your opinion matters to the city of Benton Harbor, Michigan.
I wanted to play that. Number one is to keep that campaign going. We love Benton Harbor, but we were able to use that theme for the park program, and I hope it would go much further. Also, I wanted you to hear that in this campaign, throughout the entire campaign for the last 5 months, we have included the city of Benton Harbor as being the main focus that you wanted to hear from residents, and at the city, how important that different residents, that their vision for the parks was important to you, this commission, and this body. So I wanted you to hear that from June all the way into now. We've been making sure that the city is at the forefront of this. And what we've done is connecting with the community in so many different ways. One way we got a wheel. We had our Miss Vanna, which was Commissioner Juanita Henry, to be our Vanna White at various events that we had at Unity Park, and then at Union Park, and then at the June Woods Park. We went to Commissioner Ethel Griffin's event. We were there again. We were at the Art District, Art District at the Art Hops. We were at the market, Benton Harbor Farmers Market, every Wednesday from 10 to 3 o'clock PM. We went to schools, we went to senior citizens, we went to parks. Where didn't we go? If there was an event, we were there. If there was at a church, we were there. We passed out flyers. And even today, I just spoke to Commissioner Henderson. So we reach from our older generation to our younger one. And Commissioner Henderson's class, that entire school, they actually took a survey, and she just said they still could be there. So we have more to add.
Okay.
And they also reached out to the parents at that school. There were so many schools that have gotten involved, and we're so pleased. The superintendent was to have a meeting with him today, but Benton Harbor High School is involved. I say that to say this, is that because of this campaign, I Love Benton Harbor Parks, we've been able to really connect with this community. And their vision for the parks are so important. And that's something that Joelle and Albemarle made sure that we understood, that we had to be very intentional in reaching out to the community. So I'll keep it short, but we went all over. Where didn't we go, Joelle? You'll see by the surveys that were taken and surveys that are still being taken, as well as the orange sheets, that people really got involved with our parks. There's so much to say about our parks, and I'm sure you're going to hear more from Joelle, and that is the reason why I'm here. We wanted to make sure that we didn't just engage with the community, but we did it in a way that our theme says, to make sure people understood we love Benton Harbor and we love the parks of Benton Harbor.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so the orange card she's talking about, she handed out these like little orange cards at events and got, comments written. And these are summarized, these are transposed in this packet here in a list. So you can see all the comments from the cards and then the survey responses. And in this packet, on the back of the front page and the second page are the goals that are draft identified based on all these compilation of comments. So I'm just gonna kind of hit them real highlight, and feel free to suggest anything that you want to add. But this is just kind of where we were gonna start. These are like very flexible. When we submit it to the DNR, it doesn't mean that, it's like has to be done in order or anything. And, nothing could be added in the future. You can definitely add to the future or just like not have something that you tackle right away. But these are just basically what the community said. So a lot of comments came back that they wanted updated equipment at the parks. They wanted to see more things for kids to play on, activities, basketball, volleyball, play structures, water sports, things like that. They wanted to have more ways just to sit quietly at a park and just enjoy being outside. So benches, checkers, gazebos, grills, just ways to just kind of hang out and chill. They wanted to have more things to do at a park, like gatherings, events, music, just time to socialize, a place to do it. So that was another thing that was, commented on frequently. The Ox Creek corridor is a big focus right now. And so just continuing with that push to develop Ox Creek. Safety and security, just, making sure the parks are safe, maybe having some fencing, having some security cameras, just reassuring the people who use the parks that, it's a safe place to be. Maintaining the parks, making sure they're mowed, trash is picked up, people don't dump stuff there, maintenance was another item that came up. Accommodating people with different ability levels, the senior population needs a little help. A lot of the parks don't have connecting walkways, so from the sidewalk to anything in the park, you can't get there. If you have a walker or anything, it's hard, you trip and stuff like that. Taking advantage of the river or the lake, just more opportunities to do that in the community was desired. So adding that to the outside recreation opportunities is mentioned. Trails, linking sidewalks, trails, bikes, walking throughout the community was another focus. And then finding ways to pay for it, so it's like funding sources, look for ways to pay for these improvements that aren't just taxpayer dollars or are not just city, whatever, money. And then just in general, making people more aware of parks, in the city. A lot of people didn't even know where some of them were. So, signage or just more information available to the public about the parks. Anyway, so that's just kind of the overview of what the feedback was. So any thoughts, any comments, any stuff you want to add? That's what we got.
No, it's standard. I did it. And Tobias is serious. She's been everywhere. They're everywhere in everything. And Vanna White, everything was fun. It was like, depending on what the occasion was, it could have been changed up a little bit, prizes wise or whatever, but she really, her and the team really were has been everywhere.
Yeah,
Still being everywhere, so.
Yeah.
Good job for that.
Co-chair.
No comment.
Mr. Duncan.
Put some emphasis on the river and the buoys.
Yep.
Safety, proper lighting, running water. And I appreciate you ladies for doing all the work that you've done. I've heard a lot about you. I heard that you were really reaching out. Don't forget the river though. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I think fishing was a big one. I was amazed to hear how many people really want fishing and they want to connect with the river.
You can't fish if the boat's steady running over your line.
But this is why we're doing this, to hear from the residents.
That's why I appreciate you too.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we still have surveys and we're still taking them. So if you guys would like some copies, please take one. We have a long one we have yet to put in from Commissioner Mary Ellis Adams. Of course, she had a lot to say, and that's exactly the type of person that we wanted to hear from. And we were able to pull that from people, what they really wanted.
Anybody need a survey? Raise your hand.
Mine was long too.
Yeah, yeah.
I did it while I was manning the bouncy house too at June with. And I can do another one, but yeah, we all should definitely do one, pass it along. And if we were able to have youth and different people doing, like, so maybe you and kids, so that your grandkids, they can talk about maybe an area for racing, things like that. So we can always expand it and push it farther, and youth are always really good to have, to be and take part and engage and give their insight.
Any other comments?
I got one.
Miguel Clark.
You say something, I'm curious, say something about improving Club Park. What was the improvement? What they talking about improving Club Park? Club Park, Hall Park.
Yeah.
What's some of the stuff that you could?
So like right now they're developing like more basketball courts and
Can you
parking
repeat his question so that it can be heard?
I'm sorry.
People
for Hall Park, the developments. Yeah, he's asking about the developments for Hall Park. For Hall Park, the developments. So that's part of the Ox Creek corridor that they're improving. And so there's a Spark grant that's helping to pay for some basketball courts, some pathways. I believe we're looking at some more parking in that area, some grills and supporting equipment there. So, there's a lot of plans for that one.
And we talked about, or this was actually discussed at All Things Wellness, the event in the park. And while we were there, I'm horrible with names, but I know we were asking even about that platform, that stages down there. That's not technically in the grant. However, I don't remember her name. They were trying to see about getting it in a roundabout way to cover such things as that, because that stage is, could be for a lot of different things, but it wasn't park friendly or the standard. So if we give insight, they'll respond. So that's why the forums are really good, and to come to the events and bring up such things especially when people are there that actually are doing the planning and writing it up so that it can happen.
Yeah.
Just two things. What she's saying about a venue in Buchanan, they actually did build an entertainment stage there at one of their parks, and that's important. And then what Commissioner Edwards has said, we touched on solar but didn't go there. So I was on the phone today for over an hour with EPA about upcoming grants and things that we can do from an environmental point of view. And the solar lights and things of that nature may be something that EPA has made a statement on what's best, and maybe it's something that we can look into. So that's why I think this engagement is so important.
In the bathrooms, I know Duncan.
Yeah.
And because that's huge, and like we're talking about somebody's out fishing, we don't want them to kind of men that have the leisure to not have to, do the other extra efforts we have to do, but that's huge, like fishing, like my granddad, Andrew Joe Booth, just passed several months ago, but he would be down there all day. So they need that, or what if they're there with their grandkids, right? They'll have to go, so that is huge, and like you said, the running water.
Definitely mentioned several times, yeah. So,
Mr. Duncan, you had
Yeah, I'm glad you brought Mr. Booth up. I appreciated him for a lifetime. For games and events, I like to see a permanent chessboard, one of the big floor types, with the pieces where can stay there. Because we have a lot of people that play chess in this city. And the better we get, I think the better the city becomes. So a big board and maybe some tables around the side with some more boards where people can sit, 2 tables and 2 chairs to small tables and play too. I'm finished.
No, I love that.
Yeah, me too.
Just like
Me
the
too.
tables that are getting kind of ignored over in Pete Mitchell Park.
Yes, sir.
Which would be tremendous. 'Cause I got next summer coming up, Chess with the Chief, so I'm.
Don't take it easy on him either.
I'll go.
He's ready.
all right, any other comments on that?
That was nice.
Thank you for the update, sounds good.
Yep,
you.
and so the next step is that I'll just assemble this and we'll get it posted for public comment, and then we'll come back to the commission for approval, basically. Yep. So the public comment, we're gonna aim for mid-November, so in a week or two. 30 days, so it'll be done mid-December. We'll incorporate whatever comments have been received, kind of wrap it up, and then have it at that first commission meeting in January for approval. That's the plan.
No bump outs. Nowhere.
All right, thank you. Last item on the agenda, park and rec updating schedule. Okay. That's it. Thank you everybody for coming. And this meeting is adjourned.
Cut the light off.
We need to,
He loved that job.
Tim Drews.